Thanks everybody for joining me on another episode of The Urban Gardener. Today we're just going to take care of a couple of chores around the garden. I've got to top off those potatoes, add a little bit more soil to the containers. We're going to plant out a few plant starts on the back patio, and we're going to go ahead and top off those peppers a little bit later indoors. We'll get those ready to be hardened off here in another week or so, and ready to get onto the rooftop and producing. So let's get growing. Let's get going.
Like a cherry too. Totally smells like a cherry.
It's time for us to get into those potato containers and start filling them up with some soil. The plants have grown pretty tall into the containers, so there's enough to where we can fill up just a little bit more to kind of mound them up a little bit, let those potatoes grow a little fuller underneath. So we're going to get with that in just a little bit. As you can tell in the background, the sun is still shining on them pretty good, so they're a little weak at the moment. We'll give them about an hour or two after they get a little bit of shade. As you can see, those plants have filled up our buckets. And as you can also tell, there's a bit of leaf wilt because they're basically just in the sun, dealing with the heat a little bit. But they'll perk right back up as soon as the shade hits them. So, like I said, we'll get back here with them in just a little bit after the shade's been on them for a little bit, and then we'll mound them up with some more soil. And that, I'm gonna have to pull that back and tie that up. It's starting to fall over finally. The strength of itself, though, kept itself held up there for a while. There is kind of a cage in there, though, holding it somewhat, but it grew just as much up as it was down below, holding itself up. So I'm just going to give it a line and attach it to that wooden ladder there. Let's take a look in here. We'll have to start picking some of these peas off of this plant. Some of them are just a little bit mature here on the bottom. It's time to start taking them off and get some of these newer ones that are up on top. Let's see if we can't find some here. It's amazing how these things can hide in here. There. So I'm sure I'll get about a handful of those, which will encourage the rest of them. We're going to use this flexible tie. It's got a wire inside of it and the outside is soft. You can pick this up at the garden centers, or you could pick it up at the dollar store as I did here with this stuff. And we're going to use that to tie up our peas. Let's get these peas standing back up. Being kind of gentle, not to put too much pressure onto the stems. Just gonna tie it to that end there, and then I'm gonna try to help this one stay a little bit more up there. Now it's got a bit more support. I did find one spot here for the Brussels sprouts in the corner of my strawberry bed where just kind of had an open patch there, so I cleared it out, planted out that. As we can see, we got some berries forming here. Lots more flowers. Strawberries coming pretty soon. So, all right. right here's that kale that went to seed, and pretty much most all the flowers are pretty much spent. And this plant now is heading into its final part of its seeding phase. Let's get in here and take a look. See that? The little seeds inside of there forming. Continue to let this mature and dry out these pods, and then we'll harvest some kale seed out of this. And we've got the planter box that I have in the background here, as you can tell, set up to plant out some plant starts. So if you remember in the episode before last, we were chased out of the community gardens after going to the farmer's market and picking out some plant starts. So I've got some of those that are going to go in here as well. Later on, I'm going to take them down, some of them down to the community garden and put them where we intended to put them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get into here, get some of these things planted out, and then after that, I'll take you down in there and show you exactly what we put in. All right, so we've got everything planted out. Let's go down there, take a look at what we put in. All right, first off, let's take a look at all these radishes that we planted out a few episodes back. They're all coming up real nice. I imagine just the next week or two, they're gonna be getting pretty huge. We'll be eating those real soon. All right. So first off, what I planted here, which should eventually come out and over, is we'll have some other things here too. Same here as well. We've got those Raider F1 cucumbers that we picked up at Territorial Seed Company. We planted out those seeds, and they should be ready now to take to the planter box. And along the way across the top there, we've got some lettuces that I put in from some of my seed starts. And then over here, we've got a pepper that I topped off maybe a week or so ago. This is a pepper plant that I picked up at a plant start sale. It's a Black Beauty Sweet. And in the middle there, I put a cabbage. And around it, we've got some bok choy. So those will grow right up underneath of these peppers. It's the next pepper I bought, same time I bought the other one. It is a sweet chocolate, topped the same way about a week or so ago, as you can tell right in there. Side shoots are forming. And on the other side here, I believe we've got one more of our bok choy, and what we're going to have here, which will also grow up and flow out, will be Black Beauty zucchini. Down here we've got some of that red vein sorrel we picked up at the farmer's market. So that should fill out real nice right here on the end. And then some various lettuces, some more of the bok choy, another cabbage, and some more lettuces. Yeah. Oh, right here. The last thing that I planted out, just a little guy right now. But that should grow into a nice big fat kohlrabi there. So we'll be looking to see how that goes. I've got a couple of more at the other planter box. But that's basically how and what we're getting started with the planter box this season. Alright, and quickly I want to show you too, I did take some of my bucket containers, these self-watering 5-gallon bucket containers, which I will go over here in the next couple of episodes as we get prepared to plant out our tomatoes and peppers, and especially the peppers that go onto the roof. I'll be going over how I put those together. So look forward to that in an upcoming episode. But as for right now, I did pick out one of my best Brussels sprouts. And I do know that we are kind of moving into this later in the season, and this probably isn't going to work out as well anyways, even though I couldn't really find a good enough plant start to get started with. We will give it another shot come this fall. We'll start a fall crop of the Brussels sprouts and see how well we do then. So we're going to see how this one goes, plus the one that we have over in the strawberry container as well. And then here I've got a couple of, or 4 altogether actually, pickling cucumbers. So we'll basically have cucumbers coming all the way down and around and all the way over this way, probably down and around here and all over the place, up and here. I don't even know. We're gonna send them all over the place right here. Have a nice little pickle corner. And in the other bucket, I also decided to plant out some Swiss chard. Look forward to see how these get going here as we get going in the season. Alright, so it's been a couple of hours. The sun's kind of passed away and gave them some shade to the plants. They've kind of perked up a little bit, and I think they're about ready to be hilled up. Might have waited just a little bit long on them. They are coming up above the containers, but still, hilling them up will allow for them to kind of grow and produce a little bit stronger, bigger potatoes, hopefully. So, what we have is our purple potatoes that we planted out. We've got our red potatoes and our russet potatoes. And I did want to show you one more thing. Alright, so as you can tell, each one of these right here has already got pretty good growth so far. And there was the experiment. Now you remember we left those potatoes for too long into the cupboard. I'll put a little iCard above so you can check out that episode of the potatoes. But you can tell there's no real leaf growth, just like the rest of them. So obviously there was some sort of problem with the plant itself. And so I was about ready to give up on it. I was gonna take that away and recycle the soil in there so that I could use it for something else. But when I got down in there, look at that. They are coming up. Now, they may be just a little bit slower than the other ones, but we'll keep them going. We'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of potatoes we might get produced. You never know. We'll keep an eye on that. Okay, so we're basically right down inside of our russets right now, and kind of what I wanted to show you real quick is that you'll see on a lot of potato videos and whatnot about burying them and keeping them, burying them and keeping burying them. I do believe just out in the field that they get up to a certain height and then they just mound or hill them up, basically, which is all we're really going to do here. If you can look down inside, you see the plant there, and we're just going to basically bury them up to about so there, and we'll do that throughout the whole bin, being careful not to injure or hurt the plant much or any of its stalks there. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of put some soil in here, do this one real quick. And then I'll go through and get the rest of them done. We got a nice pile in there. And I'll just move that soil around the base of the plants. Spread it around this side. And then keep adding soil until you get to the amount you need to reach the height of the plant that I was talking about. There you go. As you can see with this one, we've reached the desired height there. I'll get down in here just a little bit more to show you. All up to about, I was saying it was going to be about up to this level of the bin. I'll spread around and do that very same thing to each one of these plants in each one of these bins. Alright, so that's basically our potato update for right now. We're going to continue to let them grow, keep on checking on them here in the next week or two, and hopefully by then we'll be able to mound them up maybe one more time, like I was saying. We might do that one more time. So we'll catch up with those later. And another quick update on our iris that's blooming out front. The third bloom has come out. Such a very interesting flower. I mean, look at that inside. Let me open that up there a little bit. So that's something. Just an amazing looking flower. Sure wouldn't have expected that. After seeing this thing struggle for many years to try to come up out of this little corner. One more bloom left to go. Alright, one more thing I want to show you, an experiment we'll be seeing growing in the garden this year. Especially now that I see that the seedlings are coming up. I don't know if you guys can tell what those are, but yep, they're peanuts. So, lots of them coming in. And as I've learned with these seedlings here, they do need to be planted in a certain direction. They come up one way. If they come upside down, that root comes straight up out of the top and dries out. So make sure they're all kind of going in the right direction. They're coming up. So we'll see how those get going. In our outdoor greenhouse, we also have these onions. Started from seed, growing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring them in and we're gonna give them a cut as well as our peppers. All right, so basically what we're going to do right now is we're gonna give these onions a haircut. We're gonna mow them right across to about 1.5 inches or so. So what that will do then is force new leaf growth in the onions, which will then force the bulbs to expand. For every leaf you have is a layer in your onion. So let's give these a haircut. All right, so there we have it. We've cut our onions to about 1.5 inches or so. Don't worry if you go down a little bit too low or a little bit too high. It doesn't have to be an exact. Your onions will be fine. They really like a haircut, so. And don't forget to save the green tops. Add them to a salad or some of your cooking. All right, so now what we're gonna move on to is our pepper plants. Now I got one of our really nice pepper plants that's looking really strong, really nice right now. What we're going to do now is we're going to give it a haircut. Basically, we are going to top this off in order to do a very similar thing in promoting stronger root growth, promoting a stronger stem, and then we'll also get more outgrowth from the sides to help us produce more peppers later on. So, one of the things I'm going to do too is I'm going to go down and just go ahead and take those first couple of leaves off and prune those ones off there, the smaller bottom leaves. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to count up about 4 to 5 leaves. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the top off right there. It's a pretty tough thing to do, but it will be very beneficial for the plant later on, as we'll be able to check that out as we get to that as well. So there we are. Topped off pepper plant. Side growth will start shooting out of the sides here. And you'll see the stem start to expand. Underneath, the roots will get stronger. And these plants hopefully will be ready in another couple more weeks to be hardened off and head outside into our garden. So I'm not going to take you through all of the peppers that got to be cut up and everything, but what I will do is go take you down right now and take a look at them all after they've had their tops taken off. As you can tell, all of our peppers are looking really nice. Some growing a little slower than others. Some trying to take off faster than others. But everybody looking really, really, really great. Everybody did get their tops taken off of them, except for my one here. It's just a little too small still. But he's my only one of that kind anyways, so he's gotta make it. He's gotta make it. As you can see. All the peppers just looking really nice. We got these ones over here too. This year's peppers are looking really nice. Really, really nice. I can't wait to see how they look after being hardened off, but so far so good. Let's take a look at how our tomatoes are going. Every single day they are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Very, very strong plants. These we're going to get heading outside to be hardened off in just the next day or two. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Urban Gardener. We got a bunch of things done that we needed to get done. We got those potatoes taken care of. We gave our onions a haircut, and we also topped off those peppers. I hope you really enjoyed the quick little 2017 pepper update that I gave you. We'll be looking to get those peppers, these tomatoes, and everything hardened off in the next couple of weeks. So really looking forward to that and some upcoming episodes. If you like this program, please hit the like button below. And if you have anything to say, any questions at all for me, hit me up in the comment section below. And thank you so much for subscribing. From not having it focused right, to not being able to say what I want to say right, to not even hitting the record button. Oh my. Right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the